District. Present, we have Manager Jill Crafton, Leslie Stovring, Tom Duvall, and Bonnie Nelson. The meeting started at 7:04 p.m. Do I have a, now we need approval of the agenda.
Second.
Any discussion? No. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Agenda approved. I have an item to read before we move into the rest of the agenda. A summary of performance evaluation of Administrator Terry Jeffrey, February 18th, 2026. On January 28th, 2026, the Board of Managers held a special meeting in closed session for the purpose of the annual performance evaluation of Administrator Terry Jeffrey. Board members rated and discussed Mr. Jeffrey's performance across a number of responsibilities in his job description. These responsibilities include leadership, vision and adjustment of priorities, management of personnel and district finances, technical expertise, professional knowledge and policy and project implementation, and communication and engagement with district constituents and stakeholders. The managers rated Mr. Jeffrey's performance on these indicators on a range of 5 being outstanding, 4 exceeds requirements, 3 satisfactory, 2 opportunity for growth, and 1 unacceptable. Managers scoring for all of the areas of evaluation totaled as follows. In the outstanding category, 5, 8%, exceeds requirement, 4, 35%, satisfactory category, number 3, 48%, opportunity for growth, category 2, 8%, and unacceptable was 0%. Insufficient information to score was 1%. The Board of Managers gave Mr. Jeffrey an overall rating of satisfactory and approved a salary increase of 3.5%, bringing his annual salary to $126,251.95 per year. That's important. Thank you. Okay. Matters of public interest. Is there?
Yeah. Probably didn't give you the script.
You did not give me the script.
Yeah,
I realize
If
there's
there
normally
is
a script
anybody from
here.
the public which is to speak tonight, make themselves be known, state your name and address for the record. Please limit your comments to 3 minutes.
Are there any members of the public who are interested in speaking to the board this evening? And I could repeat some of what Manager Jeffrey said if I don't see any members of the public looking to speak. All right.
Don't I?
Thank you. Reading and approval of the minutes. Looking for a motion to approve the minutes of the January 21, 2026 workshop and regular meeting.
I move to approve.
Second.
All right. Any discussion?
I just had one comment. Line 62 under B, received December administrative report. You said Administrator Jeffrey said Manager Stovering and President Pedersen have been involved in drafting the RFP, which will come in front of the board for approval. We
Will
haven't
be.
started that
Yeah, it
process
should be
yet, so
will
you should
be.
probably say will
Yeah.
be drafting.
Should be, will be. Yep.
Okay, that was the only comment I had.
All right, any other comments?
Nope.
All right. So a motion with the suggested change. Do we have to do
I
it?
move to approve the agenda as amended. I mean, the minutes as amended.
Okay. All in favor? Say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Next, we go to the committee and member reports. Received the February Citizen Advisory Committee report and minutes. We have Sharon here to present. Please introduce yourself for the record.
Hi, my name is Sharon McCotter, and I'm a member of the Citizen Advisory Committee. Well, we have a great citizen advisory committee. We've had good ones before. We've had great ones before, but I think we have a really great one right now. A lot of energy, a lot of excitement, new projects. And my personal opinion is they're appropriately sized things that we should do versus clean up the whole wetland behind Chanhassen. Right? I mean, or make my Lotus Lake perfect or whatever it is. It's not, it's workable stuff. So I'm really excited. A few things I wanted to add to the agenda or to the minutes. I'm assuming that you got them, but one of the things that Marilyn and I would like to see, and others I think as well, is that when we don't have a learning presentation at our meeting, we would like to still have a specific time that then we can do what you guys just said, have time to just sit and talk about topics. We could have a topic ahead of time to be prepared. And, but we would have more general time to talk and converse and get a lot of opinions from some of these new people that are in areas that we may not have been in. One of the topics we suggest as the first topic, we had done some work on what cities do to incentivize their citizens on water conservation. And we took the different cities and we went out and researched what projects like the Water Wise or something I think it was called, but we got a list of all of those things. And then we really didn't do too much with that. So, and I think part of it maybe was some of that stuff could be looked at for future cost share things, because maybe some of those, anyway, there's more work could be done and we didn't want to just start brand new, and a lot of work was done there that might still exist even though the staff people in the cities aren't there anymore. So that was one of the ones we asked to be put out first. Let's see. And then we made some changes to our bylaws. Specifically, we made the meeting times more generic, so we don't have to say it's going to be on this day, on this time, so that if we make slight changes, we don't have to make changes to the bylaws, but they're generic, but they take into play what's really happening. We also, let's see, who has to be notified when someone is not absent? Or when someone's going to be absent. So we had quite a list, and now we've made it a little bit more streamlined. And then we're going to talk next time about officer or our job descriptions a little bit more. And then, let's see, trying to see if there's anything else. Do you want me to go through some of the ideas that we did have? I know you were asking about that a little earlier. I don't know.
We'd have time for that if you've got
Okay.
ideas to share with us.
Yeah, I would like to if you had, because I think Ian, one of our new fellows, suggested a native plant seed library, and people were all over that and very excited about it. I think some of that was maybe we do some work on that now, but in terms of how much can you make available to the public in this facility versus the new facility? And Eleanor, I think that was an idea you had previously too about seed libraries. So he will do some research, figure out what needs to happen. And then I think there were some other, I think a second thing on that, maybe is there a way we can harvest seeds and things like that? So there was a lot of energy around that and a lot of excitement, and he's going to go forward with that. So it's kind of fun to see a new person, brand new, first, second meeting, take a project like that. And then Andrew made a suggestion to use Hannah, who's on the CAC, has done a project, these fact sheets for homeowner associations on how to manage stormwater. So he saw that presentation that she did, and he wants more work on it, and at least have us see that presentation in April, and then figure out maybe what we could do with those fact sheets since she already has them developed. So he's very excited about it. I'm kind of, his energy with having seen this makes us all want to say, let's see this. And then Marilyn suggested hosting a native plant garden tour in the district, because we have more people who have things to show and tell. And then one of the things I was thinking about was a lending library. In the winter, I go through and clean stuff out, and I found so many nice books and resources that I'll be honest, I won't use on native plantings or things like that, and I'm sure others have them as well. And it was like, is there a way that maybe we can have those without being a complicated system? And again, we said, maybe we put that whole thing on hold until we get to the new facility where people can come in and it's a little more customer friendly or something, I guess. And then we talked about already the volunteer event. I think there's 2 volunteer. I would like to start again where we have the CAC do a cleanup every year, just with the CAC. We invite you guys and stuff, but that we focus on. I'd like to go back and see, we did one where by in Eden Prairie by that,
Lifetime.
thank you, by the Lifetime with the tennis balls. And I know one of our members went and talked to them, but that was right before COVID, and tried to see if they would put a higher fence up. And I honestly don't know what happened with that. So we'll see what the spring brings. And if there's a lot of tennis balls, that was a while ago, maybe that's one we do again. Because we liked it. You could go through kayaks and you could go in the land. So it was a two fork approach. And then on the River of Dreams, so excited with that Paddle to the Sea
Oh.
program. I did talk to Asher. He's going to get in touch with Eleanor, Liz at some point in time. This is their really busy time of year. And they have these 2 months are like some of their busiest in their office. And so he really doesn't have a lot of time to devote to this because we would want to look at a different approach. I've shared with him, your thing about dropping them into the water and even clear passage. And is that really right in our district and all of that? He's got a lot of ideas. So I think it's worth it to pursue more conversations. I think it'll be fun. And yeah, so I'll just leave it at that. He does want to look at alternatives because their model doesn't work for everyone. So he'd be really willing. He just keeps saying, I looked at your website and you guys look good. You're big enough and you're professional enough. And I think he really wants to work with us. So, and then Ian suggested another thing, a topic on gray water systems in cold climates and harvesting rainwater.
Yep.
I don't know too much about that. So there might be some, and Marilyn suggested Leslie Pilgrim, author of The Butterfly Effect. I'm not familiar with either of those, but
That's a
those
cool
were-
one. Yeah.
You know those, Jill?
Yeah, I know about the butterfly event.
Okay. So that was pretty much what we had. We didn't come up with any motions, but I think we have a lot of energy going right now and a lot of excitement for some things. So are there any specific things you want us to be looking at or us to do?
I think as we discussed during our workshop, if there's areas during like the EHAP review or some of our workshops to bring you in, just, yeah, and Terry,
I think
sort of
that's
direct that.
great. Because, and the new people don't know anything about it, and I think they'll be blown away about the EHAP. So just even to share what has been done is kind of cool, and it gives people ideas for other things.
I'm wondering if I shouldn't start by then maybe just presenting the EHAB to the CAC before we have a joint meeting.
And then Leslie could get a presentation
Yeah.
on it because she hasn't gotten that.
What?
The presentation on the EHAP.
Oh, it's been a long time.
Okay.
10 years ago in last board
Yeah.
plan update. I looked at it.
Okay, anything else?
Yeah.
Thank
Thank
you.
you, Sharon.
Has been. Thank you, Sharon. Manager Jeffries, is there a,
Administrator's report. Do not have a written one, but there are a few things I want to talk about. The bulk of it has to do with Barry Dunn, the Bill.com platform, Sage Intact, Treasury Report. We'll talk about that at that point. But a few other things I would like to touch on. Green Corps members are opening up their applications again this year. There are conditions that are put upon the Green Corps application, or at least they were on the last round, about abiding by executive orders. So it is something that we will need to consider as we move forward. We've had very good luck with Green Corps members in the past, so I'd really like to find a way to utilize them again. So I'll work with Mr. Welch on that. Working with, I did get in touch with Safety Rails, who owns 1000 Park Road. So hopefully we'll get that moving. That's the Upper Riley project. That's one of the 2 remaining parcels. And then talked with Mr. Welch the other day about other avenues to move forward on 1001 Park Road, because it would be nice to do the entire corridor and rather than keep a fragment out of the middle of it. I talked earlier during the workshop, we met, Rachel Whittington and myself met with 2 researchers. They're actually housed within Carlson School of Management Economics Department, looking at natural capital. And they were talking about looking at a baseline of what we have and finding a different way to evaluate or to evaluate the existing resources. So another tool that might help us as we look at prioritizing areas within the district. So they were going to put together a little letter proposal that I bring back to the board and discuss with you at that time. Minnesota Green Step Cities is having a webinar on February 26th, looking at local considerations for data centers. I only bring that up because managers might be interested. I know that at the annual conference that was, I don't want to say received well, but it was very thought provoking, the conversations that were had up there. And then I'm meeting Friday if the board, some of the managers were here. Bob Erickson represents the homeowners that are off of Dell Road, which is on the private drive by where the development was going to happen, the Marshall Farms development, which isn't going to happen anymore. So Dell Road is not going to get improved, and they were going to fix that culvert at that same time. So I'm meeting with him on Friday, kind of discuss path forward on that. There may be something to bring back to the board at that time. A new grant has been released. Lessard Sam actually is expanding their projects to include creek projects and to include the actual design and evaluations of the project. So I'm going to look into that to see perhaps if there's some funding available on that. And then lastly, Erica Snagowski and myself will be meeting with Will, and I'm blanking on his last name, who's the administrator of Lower Minnesota River Watershed District. I met with Paul Moline, who's the Carver WMO administrator. Minnesota River has some creative ideas about their funding platform, so I wanted to meet with them, get more information on that. This is part of the overall conversations that we've been having with Hennepin County Commissioner Deb Cattell and how districts can work together. So rather than going in there and having, I don't call it an argument, but a conflict or not being on the same page in front of the commissioner, try and get ahead of that. And then, like I said, the last thing is we'll talk about it, the treasurer's report, just an update on where we're at with the transition to our new accounting firm.
Question, would you be able to email us the information about that meeting
Yes.
that you just mentioned?
I will
Because
do
that's a lot to keep in my head.
I will do that right now. Any other questions? One last thing, I think it's probably in the staff report, but Shelby Sterner and Shauna Kepron began Tuesday with the district. There'll be a water resources technician working with Josh. We're going to look at how do we make all of our data collection work together as one unit rather than you do wetlands, you do so. But really excited to have them. I want to Liz Forbes did a great job onboarding them, getting paperwork, getting everything ready. I want to thank the board for directing me to not take on all of these things. So it was a relief, and so went well. So thanks all.
I think I saw that other grant that I mentioned to you, that with the tribes and nonprofits, I think I saw that come out.
Okay.
So look for that.
All right, any other comments on the administrator's report? All right, hearing none, we'll move on to the January staff report. Any comments or discussion?
see.
We'll move on to the January engineers report. Any comments? Sort of lean this month, which is nice.
I had one question.
Okay,
So the Kraken, so that half truckload of sediment was removed from the first and second chambers of each unit, but more sediment is needed to be removed. How exactly is that moving? Is it just the sediment? How is the sediment moving?
The sediment is coming in from the upstream
Been that hole
areas.
for a while now.
So yeah, the Kraken is a filtration system. So we have two half walls in there. The water comes in, goes over a wall, goes under a wall, and then goes into the filter chamber. And there, we did have Chanhassen pump it out, and they did take out a lot of sediment, but it wasn't completely taken out in the filter chambers themselves. There was a lot of sediment just in the bottom of that chamber. So, and it sounds like there may be someone that worked for Kraken that is kind of starting their own clean out business. So
Okay,
with the sediment, so we're kind of looking into that right now.
So, yeah,
but it's just moving off the landscape into
Yeah,
this.
yeah. I
so
mean, the Kraken's designed to capture.
Yeah, no,
all
I've
of it,
seen it
so,
in a different place. I think up in a,
Yep.
yeah, why?
yeah, so the way Vice President Nelson manages, the way the system is set up, there's a large ravine that goes, if you're familiar with the neighborhood it's in, that goes through all of the backyards, and there's a pond that spills into it and comes through, and I think it's just taking all of the sediment from that ravine as it roads. There's also a lot of sump pump discharges into it, so it might be something we evaluate that we can do up there. And then the way the Kraken system is set up, there is a manhole that is for cleaning out, but what Josh is discovering is that they need to get
Mm.
into the actual chamber with the filters to remove that sediment that's in there.
Is that a confined space entry?
It is. Yep, so Josh is
Yes.
confined space certified.
Yeah.
It does go out with other staff. We have the tripod that gets lower down in, and he has the canary in the coal mine filled with it, so.
That's a,
Thanks.
understood. Okay.
Oh, and then and this is actually, I need to follow up with, Dave, and I'm blanking on his name, Josh, or that, Scott, somebody, I'll just say everybody's name until I get it right. Scott might remember who it was, but with Upstream that sold us the Kraken in the first place. He's moved on, but there was a partner of his that has gone out, so I've got her contact information. I just need to reach out to her, because one of the conversations that we had with Chanhassen and we're having with all of our communities, great, you put these in. But what do we do? How do we do it? And that's the first one. We don't know how to maintain it. So that might be a place where we as a watershed can kind of step in and help.
So we're talking about providing the expertise and the how-to, and then they're still doing the maintenance, but giving them a better
Yep.
like a-
Or then that's one of the conversations. we'll have.
contract.
Yep,
Yeah.
exactly.
Okay.
Thanks. Good work.
Thank you. Any other comments? All right, we'll move on to the regulatory report.
Did we get one?
Did not get one.
No.
So, Vice President Nelson, managers, there really are no new updated violations this month, although we have, and again, this is one of the great things that's come out of the steering committee. The Ryan, who is the inspector for Chanhassen, has been working closely with Andrew. They now have regular meetings. So there was one site that it was very non-compliant. It wasn't a violation of a permit or anything, but it was really nice to be able to go back to them with both Chanhassen and the Watershed District, and they became compliant with it within 48 hours of both of us reaching out to it. So we are finding ways to work with the cities to be more effective in our erosion control. Otherwise,
Excellent.
we have had some snow melt, so we're starting to see activity on sites. We're starting to see some a lot of tracking off of sites again, rock construction entrances that haven't been maintained for the winter. So staying on top of that.
I ran into Andrew, he had just come back from his trip.
Yeah,
I
Andrew
hope he
was,
located his luggage, but he was really excited about that, what you're talking about, the communication that's going on, what he's learning, so it was fun to talk to him.
yeah, Andrew was out in Australia diving in the coral reef. So yeah, I'm jealous.
Don't even know what to say to that. All right. Louis, is there a legal report
Yeah, I
tonight?
have one item to share. I think some of you are aware of an organization called the Sensible Land Use Coalition. I'm guessing at least Manager Stover and others are. And it's an organization where developers and municipal land use planners have worked together over a long time to kind of develop a progressive approach to sound land use planning and development. They just issued a report on affordability of housing and a series of recommendations for reducing the costs of housing development. And there were two recommendations in that report that I thought were noteworthy. One was they recommend that there be a lot fewer restrictions on cutting down trees for housing development. And secondly, they recommend eliminating all watershed regulation of water resource issues and just leave that to cities.
Yeah.
So I think within Minnesota watersheds, this is a topic of discussion. There was nobody, they had a task force of developers and municipal representatives, but nobody from watersheds involved in the conversation. So I've been invited to speak at the St. Anthony Falls Lab Stormwater Series in March. And so I'm going to speak about watersheds and the whole history of watershed districts in Minnesota, but also then there'll be a panel discussion after that where we've invited a representative of the Sensible Land Use Coalition, a representative of the city, and a watershed representative to talk about how cities and watersheds work together or what are challenges for developers and all of that. So I just thought you will hear about this from maybe in your circles.
I thought it was a really good, interesting read, and I would imagine Administrator Jeffrey could forward it to anybody. I got it because of my work with a legislative committee with Minnesota watersheds, but I was trying to think, I thought we got that, but it was
an interesting read.
it was an interesting read, and learning about this, and you call them a progressive organization, but as I
Yeah.
read what it is, it's not, according from a watershed position, I would not call it a progressive organization. So
The reason I just say that is over the decades, they have highlighted developers who have done projects really in tandem with natural resource planning. And so this recent report seems a little out of step with that.
It's like a step backwards.
Yeah.
Out of step.
In my experience with them over the years, they oscillate. Yeah. They'll do really, really good work that you're like, oh, that's, and then they'll swing down to this letter. And then they'll,
Yeah. I know we ran into them with storm permitting program and making it more strict. And it's like, this is not that. Yeah.
They're just ignoring water entirely, it seems like.
well, and managers, I mean, I think you're all aware, but perhaps you aren't. Cities are welcome to adopt, to take over our regulatory program. So all cities could take that on already if they wanted to. They do not. That's why I was kind of surprised to see some of the cities that signed it. Minnetonka.
all right.
Do other watershed districts allow that? Or is it-
All in the metro area, it's a part of the watershed planning law.
Okay, so that they could do it if they really wanted to. They just don't like our rules.
Yeah, well, and Vice President Nelson, managers, you remember for your time. So if you adopt 9 Miles rules and Riley's rules, then you're dealing with
Yeah,
4
we're
sets of rules.
split. Yeah.
So on that note, I have had conversations with Erica Snagowski from 9 Mile about coordinating our regulatory process together, sitting down at the table as we write our rules so that It would really affect Eden Prairie as would be the most
Just for the
impacted.
developers having more consistent regulations, not so many different sets or.
We have always been pretty consistent with 9 Mile. Our rules are almost
Yeah.
identical, but there are ways we can improve as always.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go ahead.
So you've been involved with doing some of that with the cities now also, right? To integrate the permitting process, to talk to developers earlier in the process.
So, uh, Vice President Nelson, Manager DeVal, yeah, we are invited to um, what we call DIRT, but every development review committee team or development review team, it's called different things. So Chanhassen has invited us to those. Bloomington has invited us to those. Um, Eden Prairie still isn't inviting us, but they are sending us plans much earlier in the process, which has been nice. So we're getting there. Yeah,
And
that's how.
Minnetonka also, right?
Minnetonka does not.
No,
Minnetonka will send me if they have anything where they have to have a plan update in order to accommodate it, like a CUP or something like that, and I will get that, but otherwise I tend not to get that. We actually had a conversation earlier when we were talking about our next steering committee meeting about where in the process really would it be the most helpful to be there. And it really would be at the concept level where we could say, well, what about that bluff? What about that wetland? What about that,
again, I think that enhances everybody's dealing with the rules is to try and coordinate that, right?
Yep.
Without necessarily stepping beyond boundaries of what you're statutorily allowed to do, but it helps the developers, right?
It ultimately will help them.
And ideally, it helps the cities and us.
And yeah, I mean, statutorily what we can do, and at the same time also, just fostering those collaborative relationships, like, what we're doing right now with the inspections, it just makes everybody's life easier, the developers, the cities and ours. There'll always be some conflict just because we're always going to have slightly different priorities, but there's no reason we can't minimize those to the greatest extent practical.
And if you're collaborating, then it's a common front. Common,
And no one's surprised at the end. I mean, because that's what happens a lot. They'll get through the preliminary plat process and they'll come to us and like, yeah, but you gotta, and they're like, whoa, wait, we gotta start all over, so.
oh, good. All right, is there any manager reports? Does anyone have a manager report for this evening?
No, my main thing was the
Wow.
wetlands. It's really
We sort of
exciting.
talked it out over the workshop.
Yeah, you did. Well, people are aware of it, and I think
Yeah.
it'll be coming, so.
All right, Tom, any?
No.
All right, I don't have anything tonight either. That's unlike us.
Yeah,
All right, moving on to the consent agenda.
which I believe is empty.
It is empty. New business, item A, there's no item removed from the consent agenda. Item B, update on the transition to Barry Dunn and adopt resolution 26010.
Oh, Vice President Nelson, managers, I submitted to you a memorandum and just a spreadsheet of bills to pay this month. So we have been working on the transition to move from Redpath, who was our accountant prior, to Barry Dunn. Redpath used Sage 40, Sage 50, Sage 50, which is a rather dated software. And so the data cannot simply be migrated out of Sage 50 and into Sage Intacct, which we are using. So they will be manual, well, I don't want to say manually, but they will be taking the December reports from Redpath, all of the end of year reports out of the Sage that they can get, and your bank statements. They are currently reconciling the 2025 fund balances so that then I can come forward and say to you, this is what the fund balance is, and we can look at what we have available to us. So that information was provided. I don't have my memo. I want to say sometime mid-January. It was received by Barry Dunn. So they've been working on that, and they should have it together at our March meeting. At the same time, we have been moving towards away from checks, and we've been moving to bill.com. So I'm going to call it Bill. So if I'm referring to something Bill, that's what I'm talking about. It's a platform that allows us to put in vendors, match the codes that are in Sage to a large extent. Sage will be much more detailed than Bill will. It allows us to assign roles to the managers and to staff. So, I could be an enterer or I could be an administrator. Managers can be a signer or approver. It's called so. One of the things that we will need to do is, and I believe Manager DeBell and Mr. Smith already had a conversation on this, but we'll evaluate if the governance manual already allows for this, and we just need to do a resolution to talk about how this workflow is going to work, or if we need to amend the governance manual. Because what will happen is all of the data we put into Bill, I will go through, code it, say that yes, that's what Josh had. These are all accurate, and then that list will be before the managers, and then two managers can click, and they'll be paid. We still have the option of payment through check through that. There's a nominal fee per check of 10 cents or 15 cents a check. So obviously we'd still rather pay vendors as much as possible through ACH. And then it would still allow me, and this is kind of what we've got to work out, because you cannot be two roles in the system, obviously, for protection purposes. So if I am the enterer, I cannot approve it. So even though we have a resolution that allows me, certain discretion in expenditures, I would not be able to do it. So it might be something where it just says, I contact a manager that has that authority, and then they spend it on my behalf, or whatever that case may be. So those are the things we'll need to work through on the bill. Sage intact. I got my login information on, what day is it? Wednesday? On Friday, at the end of the workday Friday. I have not gone into Sage yet and played with it, but Barry Dunn they went through our chart of accounts. They organized it in a way that made more sense. Made more sense, yes. Not the fun sense. And they have added all of the things that we will need for the acquisition and maintenance of the property itself, and to be able to depreciate that, as well as for our vehicles or any other large purchases. We've eliminated all those projects that used to sit in there that we completed 8 or 9 years ago. So it will be just a clean fund. So that's the other thing we're trying to do right now, is coordinate or align this fund number with that fund number. So that should all be taken care of. I have a meeting with Barry Dunn tomorrow morning to see where they're at in the process of doing this. My last conversation with Don Patterson, who is our main contact through Barry Dunn, is that they are making really good progress. I expect tomorrow, actually, they'll have a treasurer's report format for me to look at, and I will bring that to the board for consideration. So that's where we're at with it. I think everything rollout's a little slower than all of us would want it, but I'm really optimistic looking at the tools that they are providing us and the communication that they have had with us, that we made the right move and that we are going to have something much more meaningful moving forward. So with that, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have about it. But again, so there's no treasurer's report tonight for approval. It's just paying of the bills.
Manager
Well,
Crafton?
I'm getting the impression that Nancy was holding that place together.
Yes, I believe you might be correct.
What's that?
She was doing a
I
lot of
couldn't
work.
understand what you said.
A lot of work.
Oh.
Nancy Martinson was our representative at Red Path until 3 years ago. 3 years ago, I think she
Yeah.
retired.
She was great.
Yeah, and she really was. She had the answer to everything. She had a lot of institutional knowledge. She could tell us what happened before I was around. We lost that when she left.
Yeah. And she was working with like 6 different watershed districts, I think. But anyway,
Any
So,
comment?
Just a comment. So I hate to sound getting excited over accounting.
Right.
But this is, I mean, I've been looking at the bill.com. It's Bill. I have to get used to calling him Bill.
Yeah.
But in addition to the payables, it's going to eliminate so many manual steps. It's just unbelievable. And so we're going to, as a manager or somebody authorized to sign, I can go through it and see the actual invoice, and I can see the way it's been coded, and then that it's been approved, and then it requires 2 signatures. So I think that part of the process will be similar, where it'll just go into just like the spreadsheet, there's a version of this online, so we can see that it's there. But if there's questions about the bills, I mean, we could just look at this and dive into it right on the
drills
screen.
right down.
Pardon?
It drills right down.
Drills right down. And then it has an audit trail in there. So we can see anytime anybody has looked at any particular bill or if changes have been made. So it shows right up on the screen. And so you can go in and out of that. And so then the other thing is that once it gets set up, it's only going to go into the system once unless there's an issue. So it's not going to be transferred 3 or 4 times going in and then 3 or 4 times coming out. So I think there'll be some kinks to work out as we go through the issues, not the issues, but the protocols. But I'm anxious.
I would echo Manager DeVella. I am
To have it
definitely
implemented.
never excited about accounting, but I think it's going to make all of our lives so much simpler. For instance, scan an invoice in, it will pull most of the information out of it. And if you do it enough times, if it's a repeat invoice, it's always the same. It'll learn that pattern and fill in for you, code it automatically, et cetera. Obviously, I'll have to still do QA, QC, and as will the treasurer, whoever the treasurer is at that time. But yes,
I'm anticipating that's going to really streamline the year-end process of what we do and what gets transferred over to Abdu. And so it's going to be consistent again. And so I think it's just going to,
It's been a long road and it is exciting to get to this point.
I think it's going to enhance our ability to see the projects and then work into some of the things that we worked on last year, like getting into cash flow statements and those sorts of things. So I think this feels really good even at this point.
one of the other things that has not yet been unveiled, because I need to let all of our vendors know we have it, is so we have a bill at rpbcwd.com, and so they can submit their invoice to that email address. It will take it and put it into bill.com. It'll let me know that it's there, and then I'll go on and check it. So yeah,
So it'll still require the same review internally. If it's something that comes through Josh's area, he's going to look at it,
Good.
do the similar sort of thing, and then ultimately Terry has to look at all the bills just like he does now, and so that it maintains
That integrity.
the checklist of
Internal controls.
internal control, and it's right there. You can see it. It's plain as day.
Good.
We don't need a policy to see it because it's right there.
That's been one of my things from the beginning.
Mr. Smith.
Has legal looked at this?
All right, Mr. Smith?
Yes, I just wanted to note, as Mr. Jeffrey's memo observes, and we've also discussed, Mr. Jeffrey and Andrew DeBell and I, we're reviewing your governance policies on financial management to just see if anything needs updating. But my initial view is you're operating consistently with all of those on all of the separation of duties and internal controls. What this does is streamline the process so that there's a lot less hair pulling through those steps. But we'll come back to you at the next month's meeting with any recommendations on just memorializing this process so that it's transparent.
Will you be looking at that, the capability of taking payment as well? You had a note about that in here. Will you be looking at that also? So that
So
has some governance considerations. It says it may not be implementable.
she's referring to, Mr. Smith, is through bill.com, we also have the ability to, if we want to start doing our permit fees and cash and the permit escrows, they can pay through that. So we can invoice, or signs, for instance, buffer signs, we could invoice through that. And I don't know that we do have any policy in the governance on the whole invoicing.
Yeah,
So
we'll review that.
Very
at
good.
least I assume that Manager Stovring, that's what you're referring to.
Yep. Yeah, that, I mean, it sounds like something that'd be nice to have if we could
Yeah.
figure that out.
Next steps. Any other discussion? I'm looking for a resolution.
So I
I think,
move,
yeah.
I move that we approve resolution 26-010, approval of the paying of the bills.
I second.
All in favor?
I,
Any opposed? Motion passes. All right, next item is Resolution 26-011, authorizing the administrator to apply for performance review and assistant grants from Bowser.
As President Nelson, manager. So in 2017, was it? We
Been a
were
while.
we finished up our ERAP. We were supposed to get one every 10 years from the Board of Water and Soil Resources. And they had several recommendations, but at the time, for various reasons, we did not move forward on it with that composition of the board at that time. As we move into our new 10-year plan, and I've heard discussion among managers about how can we better communicate, work together, have a more robust discussion. I thought this might be a good time to revisit the PRAP to get them to help pay for having someone come in and evaluate our, I'm thinking, strategic planning and organizational development and how we move forward as a team and how we might work back together. Generally speaking, it's a 50% match. We would take it out of the professional services budget, and it would probably roughly $5,000 to $10,000 would be our expense, with the rest coming from grant, assuming we get the grant. It's a
That's
first
it.
come, first service grant.
we didn't do that with Jen at all. We talked to somebody recent, not too long ago.
Yep. So
I thought they recommended us for
it
that.
did. It was Jen. That was the report. That was 2018. It seems like not too long ago, but
Like 2 years ago.
I know, I'm with you there. COVID kind of messed everything up. What
But they
happened?
did recommend that we needed it.
Yes. Yep.
So
So
hoping.
there, we did have a resolution at that time that authorized it, but we have a brand new board composition. I just thought it'd be best to bring it back to this board, just make sure that we're all in agreement still.
And we have the budget, if we do get the grant, to move forward with it. Any other discussion? Anybody have a motion?
I'll move adoption of resolution 26-011, authorizing the administrator to apply for a PRAP grant from the Minnesota Board of Water and Soil Resources.
I second.
You got it down soil and water. This is water
Did I
and
put it
soil
backwards?
resources. Let's go. Wait a minute.
Yeah, sorry, I put it
Yeah.
backwards.
Water and soil resource.
It's Miss Warren, huh?
With, as amended?
As amended.
All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? No. Motion passes. Next item, Resolution 26-012, approving the 2026 cost share program.
Vice President Nelson, managers, I believe Liz Forbes gave a report that I caught, a very nice discussion on what they're moving forward. I know that Ms. Mahan and Ms. Forbes put a lot of time and thought and effort into this. I believe they've done a very good job of evaluating some of the inefficiencies in what it is and how do we really get the best return on our dollar that we put out. I heard some good ideas from the managers that I believe that they will take and tweak. So I might amend the resolution to say as the incorporating the comments heard during the workshop. But I think it's a really good program. I think as we move through our plan and we see how this works and doesn't work, as we try and
Yeah.
look at our soil health program, we'll probably come back every year with some type of tweak to this, but
Understanding, and I have to look, is that what you had, sort of the details we talked about were still, that wouldn't change the overall program that we would be approving tonight, because those were more details and specs that haven't been clarified.
Correct, managers. What we spoke of today were the policy document that was adopted by the board last year for the 2025 program. We talked about those high level changes that would occur in that. A lot of the details will be updated and then added as appendices to the final program policy update. A lot of those final details we don't go into in the policy documents more because it's a per project specification.
So I just wanted to make sure our resolution was appropriate for what we discussed, and we don't need to amend it.
I just had one quick
Okay.
comment. It just hit my head. I know, but you were talking about recommending rather than the bee lawn mix to just let grass grow. Just be aware that could very likely run against city code. I do know that when I wrote the Prairie City Code that we require that it can't just let the grass grow. So, so just be careful with your recommendations. That's it.
Thank you.
President Nelson, Manager Stovring, that's actually a good idea. I think, much like we have with our application for regulatory program, we could put a caveat in there, you know, you're responsible to
Meet all
verify that you meet all
requirements, yeah.
other ordinances.
Very good. And all right. We need a resolution first, and then
Motion, I'll move adoption of resolution 26-012, approving the 2026 cost share program.
Second.
second. And then any further discussion on the resolution? All in favor? Oh, yes,
Madam
Louis?
Chair, just for clarity, if it doesn't sound to me like there are any changes that are being made to the policies from the discussion. So in the first, therefore be resolved paragraph, that last phrase with any changes noted in the minutes can be deleted because none are made. And then there won't be any confusion about looking for the minutes.
Okay, good idea.
Make sense?
Mhm.
We need a motion on that.
No,
Do we need to amend our motion to say that?
the mover and seconder are comfortable with that. and it would be
Accept
by
that as a
unanimous
friendly
consent.
amendment, yeah.
All right. So by unanimous consent, there we go. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. Next discussion item, is there any update on the lawsuit?
Madam Chair and managers, I would say we have no update at this time. We will come back to you at the next board meeting with a more complete update. There was a mediation session. There's no conclusion to that yet, and we expect there will be a reply coming back in the next few days, and if, depending on that reply, we can bring the matter to you at the next meeting.
Very good. All right. Upcoming board topics. This is Terry?
So, managers, so talked about the fund balance report and I'm very done, so bring that to you in March. We will also have at the March meeting, I want to say Margaret Milligan, but yes, Margaret Milligan and Dan Shaw will be here to present their restoration plan for the property and how they anticipate it being phased. And I think we will need to have a discussion as a board and with legal advice of the best way to advertise that, because it would be nice to leave anybody who's done restoration, it's nice to leave flexibility in a restoration project rather than saying specifically you have to have X, Y, and Z happen. So we'll do that. In April, Joe Bischoff will be before the board to talk about our systems approach to lake management. We have, and I should have put those in there for upcoming dates, but we have, and could you help me with the dates when we're having our first lake management?
February 26th.
So we will
Yeah,
be
that,
meeting.
and that's focused on the Mitchell Lake and Red Rock Lake subwatersheds.
So
Said
this will,
February 26th.
Yes, so
so-
a week from tomorrow.
yep, so that'll
We'll
be.
putting out invitations tomorrow.
And then isn't there another one that we're working on?
So the next Thursday, we will have Lucy, Ann, and Susan will be in that one. And so this will be, as Joe Bischoff calls it, the airing of the grievances, just what is your good perception. But we're trying to open it up so that we don't just get lakeshore owners there. So expanding it a little bit in hopes that we get other users of the water body there as opposed to just shoreline residents. So there's a series of 3 meetings that we'll be having with the lakes. We have not set the dates for the other 2 meetings yet, but that'll be coming up. And then D, I put in there still tentatively. I think Manager Nelson had a very valid point that I think we should figure out what our fund balance is in that account. We should look at bringing the property to a safer condition, and then contingent upon that, what's left over, then start looking at our actual architectural design. And that's what we have for the next few meetings coming up.
Madam President or Vice President?
Yes, Vice President.
So with the whole lake management, are you talking to DNR at all?
We are having, we have gotten data from DNR for the fisheries and other things. But right now, we're just working on the plan off of what we have for data. When we get to that point of the plan, then yes, we will be probably using some type of a technical advisory committee, which would include the DNR and others.
I would think they'd be interested.
Yeah, they'll be interested in what we have. Nobody else has done this though, so there really isn't something that we can take from them and use. So we'll get their input on the plan as we move forward.
I was in a meeting with Grant Wilson and Mark Holston and another gal from Urban Roots. And we were brought in to discuss some of the DNR's planning strategic stuff. But Mark made the comment, well, why aren't we doing a more holistic look at our lake managements? And I said, well, we're kind of doing that. And I said, I asked Grant, I said, so do you know who Joe Bischoff is? And he said, oh yeah. So, but I just wondered if there wasn't interest. It's kind of like when we did the CARP thing with Sorensen. I mean, they really appreciated all the research that we did. So I would hope that it'd be similar.
Yeah, I know, just let you speak. I know Josh has met with the DNR and a few other things. And when they discovered that we had all of these web interface maps with all of our data available, they were pretty excited about it.
Yeah, and then even just now, I sent an email to April Wando, our AIS specialist. They're looking at doing a study on fluoride treatments, whole lake fluoride treatments and effectiveness and response and stuff like that. So even plants, aquatic plants and all that kind of stuff.
Great. Well, I keep telling Sarah, what are your boots on the ground? Just come on. Use it. So good. That's exciting.
Tom?
So I have one more question or comment for Terry, and that, is it worth mentioning the dialogue that went on about Lake Susan at all or not?
I mean, there is, I know all the managers have received correspondence from Lake Susan. I'd give you a quick update on, so we have met with them twice, once with the city of Chanhassen and once Engineer Sobiak and I held a meeting. We are of the mind that we have an adaptive lake management plan that has effectively removed 3 waters from the impaired list. We have moved through in progression, and we are at the point now where we can move forward with the Lake Susan alum treatment. Likely a fall 27 application would not be out of the realm of possibility. So working forward through with that. Yeah,
If I could add something, I'm a resident on Lake Susan, which is why I'm sitting in. So I've sat in with Terry. I apologize for my appearance. I just visited my dermatologist this week. but it's not a dead issue on our side. We met with Senator Coleman, who's willing to support us on getting some funding. And at some point, we'd like to get on, and Jonathan Morales is sitting in, and I think potentially David Benedict. So we've got a few members sitting in. And we'd like to bring to the board a proposal because we're not happy for a number of issues or a number of reasons. I've been on the lake for 20 years. I shared some of this a couple months ago. We feel that there's an alternative that should be considered. And I know I'm not on the agenda today, but we would like to bring it up. It's not a dead issue. And we have some additional meetings, actually one tomorrow. We met with one of the senior folks from the DNR. We're meeting with other political individuals. So at some point, again, we'd like to bring forth an alternative plan to address the issues on Lake Susan.
Yeah, and I am who you're going to be. I am going to meet with Lake Susan tomorrow.
Tomorrow?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Part of the reason
Some
I-
political people, that's a, yeah.
Okay, yeah, I wasn't sure David set it up.
So since I'm from Carver County,
Mhm.
we, that I could come talk with you
Thank
guys
for taking the
personally.
meeting.
That's it.
All right.
That's what I got.
We're all registered for the legislative meeting in March, right?
Well, not all, because not all are going, but yes, you are registered.
Thank you.
Senator Bell, were you going?
I was not planning to.
Okay. Then you are not registered, so that's easy enough. And Dorothy could not go, you are going. You have to be there.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yes.
Lucky you.
Right. Take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
In favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned.
Oh, sir.